Now that's a thick wall.
This is the 7th video in a series dedicated towards base defense. So far we've covered many different ways of building walls, ceilings, floors, and doors to deter a raider, and now we will look at fence foundation stacking, essentially placing foundations as close together as possible. Your final base is going to depend on many factors, especially base location, the perceived threat, the size of your clan, your ultimate goals, and probably most importantly, cost. Foundation stacking can get expensive really quick, but if you've got the time and materials, then this is a surefire way to slow down a raider. So real quick, I just want to mention that I submitted a logo design to Faceless for his Ark series. If you don't know yet, he did a great Conan series when the game was still in early access. Many of the game mechanics have changed, but I still enjoy rewatching it.
If you could just keep little nuts away from your house.
My phone just losing the fucking plot.
Anyway, as a fan, I thought it was really cool to have something I drew placed in one of his videos. The link to vote is in the description. And if you're a fan of Conan, you're probably a fan of Ark, so check out his current series, which is really cool. Foundation stacking uses the wedge mechanics that we tested in part 2. Remember, you can place a fence through a wedge, and part of it overhangs the edge of the wedge. This allows you to place 2 foundations side by side. There are multiple ways to foundation stack, but this is the way that I use. Start with a single foundation. In this build, I'm using tier 3 black ice for the final build, and using sandstone as the temporary pieces. Extend a fence off of the first piece, add a wedge foundation, and then add a second wedge foundation facing the opposite direction. Then, using techniques from video part 2, add a fence perpendicular through the wedge so the tip is hanging over the edge. Place a fence in the outermost slot. Then extend it until it's in line with the black ice fence. From here, destroy the wedges in the middle fence foundation. Replace the wedges on the right side. This time, all you have to do is add a single fence to the edge of the wedge. Then extend it and place a tier 3 fence on the end, since it will be part of the final build. At this point, you've essentially seen the process. Destroy the right side fences and the wedges. Using the technique from video part 2, extend the fences. Clear out the wedges and single fence in the middle, then add 2 wedges, then add a fence to the outer edge of the wedge. Extend the fence and finish with tier 3. Rinse and repeat. You can continue this process for as long as you want. Eventually you'll get to a point where your tier 3 fences run into your temporary fences. All you have to do is begin removing the temporary fences. The process is the same otherwise. If you follow other methods, you'll likely run into an issue where there's a gap between your fences. You can fill it, but you'll notice that these pieces overlap, which creates a problem. While you can place walls on top of all of these pieces, the effect is superficial only. As we can see here, explosive damage hits the first and second fence, but the third fence is untouched. Essentially, this middle wall is useless. If you're starting with a fresh base build, it'll be easy to lay out your foundation stack. But if you're repairing your base or upgrading your base, it might be difficult to get the design just right. So, here's some guidelines for spacing. Using wedges will allow you to place a fence 7 and 8 spaces away. Using just a fence, you can place a fence 4 spaces away. There are other factors to consider when foundation stacking. I'm going to build 2 layers using sandstone, stone brick, reinforced stone, and black ice. What I'm looking for here is how the fences block bomb damage. The sandstone successfully blocks the initial explosion damage, but the rear fence takes fire damage. The stone brick successfully blocks damage, but the reinforced stone does not block damage. Both fences take the same damage, which makes the second wall useless. I'm not sure why this happens, but if you take a look at the fence width compared to the black ice, it's much thicker. Perhaps this overlap is the reason why it doesn't block the damage. And finally, the black ice blocks the damage. So, if you're going to stack fences using tier 3 materials, avoid using reinforced stone. Besides learning that reinforced stone is ineffective, the sandstone presents a unique use. It's extremely cheap and easy to build, and when stacked, it's actually a legitimate defensive build option. Each fence will absorb 1 bomb, so a 10-layer deep sandstone stack will require 10 explosives to destroy it. 10 bombs for a large clan is no great expense, but for a smaller clan looking for an easy raid on a T1 building, they will definitely be surprised at the effort required to raid it. So if you're looking for a quick defendable build while you build up the resources necessary for tier 3, then this is a legitimate option. Finally, the last thing to be aware of is that you can't place bombs on top of raised stacked fence foundations. However, you can place bombs on the ground layer fences. What this means is that raiders are forced to blow through every wall to reach the inside of your base. That's it for now. There are still more videos to come in this series, plus a new series that will show you the different ways you can be raided. I've read a lot of the requests to do full base builds, so I will do some videos on that as well. Thanks for the support and comments so far. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.